Hello, everybody. So, I'm going to wait because I'm going to be doing this broadcast live. So, I'm going to wait for a few people to come on. Then, of course, I'll probably edit out this first section for the final upload. But on this live, the people will be able to ask questions about the Tinder Date Jerk. All right. So, I'll just wait a minute. I'm late. I apologize. I told the people I'd be here at 7:30, and it is 7:40. So, I started enjoying my dinner, and I got delayed. But, all right, I'm just going to go in, see how many people are here, and I'll just get started on the story of the reappearance of the Tinder Date Jerk. Let's go to YouTube. And I'm just going to my channel. I don't want to be on camera anymore, guys. I just look a mess, and it's even worse now that I'm tired. So here we go. So there we are. All right. So I have one person watching. I guess I could wait a little bit longer so that more people appear. But if more people don't come, I'll just tell the story. They could watch the rerun. But I don't want to be on camera. So, all right, 2 people watching. All right, I'll get started. I can start out with the old, from what I remember. But I do have a pretty good memory. In general, I'm very good at remembering people and things that transpired between, especially people I've dated and, had a little bit of a romance with. So, years ago, as many of you may recall, I can't believe it's been that long. Some of you, 10 years have been following. Me too. I've been following some people for 10 or 15 years even. And they don't know they don't know that I exist even, but I feel like I know them. But anyway, so I guess it was 2014. So that was 8 years ago, right? Because it was summer. Was it summertime? Let me try to remember if it was summertime. What happened? I don't remember. I believe it was summer. 2014. I believe so. Anyway, so back in 2014, or in those years when I was doing the Tinder and Bumble and Match and eHarmony, I did all of them. Starting in 2012 through about 2016. About through 2012 through 2016. I was doing the Bumble dating and the Tinder and the eHarmony and all those things. So, anyway, this was 2014. I remember because I even have emails. I don't delete things, just not because I care. I just don't delete them. It's not for any particular reason. They're just there. So I was looking back, and I realized it was back in 2014. Anyway, so I met a guy on Tinder. It was Tinder, I recall. And, part of the reason I swiped right on this guy, like I've done with other guys, this is one I've never talked about before, so it's a new one. But other guys I've dated also. I'm so sorry. I have to clear. Let me drink some water, too, but one moment. I'm going to mute this so I can clear my throat. Okay, and I'll drink a little water. So, one of the things that makes me swipe right on some people sometimes is because they, back then, I don't do it anymore, like I said, but back then, was if they lived nearby. So if it said the same, neighborhood that I was in, if they were decent looking, I would swipe right, if they seemed interesting. I mean, there were some that were just horrible and I wouldn't. But so this was, one of the average guys that seemed like he was okay. So, let's see. Was it Tinder? Because he wrote to me. Yeah, I guess we both swiped right on each other. Because here's the thing, off the subject for a second. I gotta get my dog. She's in the pen. Many men will swipe right on every single one. Men will for men it's all numbers. come on to as many women as you can, and one of them's going to pay attention to you. So that's the thing. If you get matches, don't get too excited, because, maybe he liked you, or maybe he swiped right on every single woman on the whole thing until he ran out, because at least some of them are going to write him back. And then that's when he goes through and sees the one he likes, But he's not going to bother looking through women that, may not respond to him. Men are very practical about love and sex and all that. So anyway, so he swiped right on me. I'd swiped right on him. And so he, on Tinder, unlike Bumble, on Tinder, the man, whichever one of you wants to writes first. So he wrote first. He said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." I guess I could say his name. It's not his name was Scott, but it's not a name that's, very uncommon. It's a common name, so it's not like you're going to know who he is, because I want to keep people's privacy, especially when I'm talking bad about them. But, so yeah, I'm sorry for, because I've got to recall back then. I can't say it as fluidly as I do other ones, because it's been so long. But all right, so we swiped right. He said, "Hi, I'm Scott, blah blah blah." We started chit-chatting. "Okay, why don't we meet tomorrow at the Denny's on the corner here in my town?" I always suggest meeting in average restaurants. And so we met the next morning for breakfast at the Denny's. And nice guy, whatever, just at the time, it seemed kind of normal. He liked sports. He's an English lit major, interesting guy, educated, all that stuff. A little chubby, he's got a belly and all, but he was cute, So I liked him enough, while we were talking, I felt a little bit of chemistry from the beginning. And I liked his personality, everything. So, at one point, he mentioned that he'd never been to Key West. We're in Miami, and he'd been living in Miami for a few years, and he'd never been to Key West. So I said, and it was a Saturday. So I said, "Hey, let's go tomorrow." Just like that, like very spontaneous. I said, "Hey, you want to go tomorrow?" I'd been there already. I really like Key West. Oh, it's so hot, you guys. Oh, gosh, it's so hot. All right. So So he was a little bit like, he put like a surprised face that I would be so bold. And you know what? In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that, because that kind of showed that I was so interested, which is probably why what ended up happening. But, I probably should have said, "Hey, well, maybe we could go sometime next week." Or, I should have said, "You want to go tomorrow?" It sounded kind of desperate, didn't it, on my part? Probably, I'm guessing. Again, in hindsight, I probably, but that's the thing. They say, "Oh, be yourself, be spontaneous." Whatever advice they give you, it's always bullshit, because then you do it and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So, but I honestly was being spontaneous. I said, "Hey, tomorrow's Sunday, let's go tomorrow." You can, from Miami, it's a long drive because it's a one lane highway, but it takes a while. It's like 4 hours to get to Key West. It's close. That's the weird thing. It's very close, but the way to get there is only one lane, so it takes a long time, especially if it's high season with a lot of tourists. There's a lot of traffic. So, but anyway, so we went. It was summertime. It wasn't a lot of traffic, but. And no, so here's the thing. So we left extremely early. That's the thing. You got to leave like very early, like 3, 4 in the morning. So by the time you get there, it's 8 or 9. You spend the day so that you don't spend in a hotel, because it's expensive. It can get expensive. So and then come back at night. So and it was convenient also because we lived like 2 blocks away from each other. He was renting in a little. Sort of like my garage apartment. He was renting over there a few blocks. So I said, it's, perfect, it's convenient. And so he came and he picked me up at about 4 in the morning. We arranged it and said, "Okay, that was a nice breakfast. Bye, see you later." So he came at 4 in the morning, like we had agreed. And, we were on our way. And, like, on our way, he started being very flirtatious, which I didn't mind because I liked him. So, but he was slightly too much, like a little overboard, even for a guy that you like. But I was like, okay, well, I like him. He's just being whatever. And then he was, at one point we stopped, I think, to get some breakfast, and it started pouring down rain. It's summertime. It was summertime. That's why I know for a fact, because summer, probably August, because it was raining really hard, and that only happens, or ordinarily happens in this, summer. So he said, look, it's kind of hard to drive with all this rain. We should just stay here until it usually it's a while, and then a little while, and then it stops. So while we were waiting, he was being very physically, I don't want to say, it wasn't like he was forcing me. He wasn't forcing me, but he was being very aggressively romantic, if you will. Kissing and trying to grope parts, and, and I kind of, it's weird because it was a weird situation, because I wasn't quite, I guess, I don't know what to call it, but I liked it. It wasn't unwelcome, so it wasn't like he was forcing me to do anything, but it was a little bit more too much for my comfort. But anyway, we kissed or whatever, what you do, and then what happened? Like what? Why did I bring that up? Yeah, it was just a little too aggressive is all I remember. That I kind of liked it, but I kind of was a little uncomfortable at the same time. But I was telling myself, lighten up, because, you see, I was so insecure. I still am, but even more so back then. I thought, you read things that say, oh, you got to be spontaneous, you got to be this, you got to be that. You don't know what to do after all. But I probably, went a little more far than I should have. Besides, we were in his car. And yeah, I probably didn't consciously think it, but we're in his car, and if we get into a fight midway to Key West, he might kick me out and drive off. I don't really know this guy. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, he's not a dangerous man, as it turns out. But on top of that, what if he would have been a serial murderer and I'm here on the way to Key? This is all in hindsight. But at the time, whatever. So, whatever. Rain slowed down. It was okay to drive again. So we drove to Key West. And then another thing I noticed was that he broke rules, like a little too much for my comfort. It's okay, you do something kind of funny, like, oh, we're not supposed to go in here, let's go in here, but he would break them a little bit too much. Like we got there, we parked, and it was still raining again. Not as hard, as it was, on the way, but we didn't want to get wet, so we could have found a place to go, but he said, oh, look, let's go in here. And there was a huge sign that said, do not enter private property. The house was empty, apparently, but you're still not supposed to trespass. Hey, let's go in here. And he went onto the porch of this house that, had the little roof. I said, the sign says we're not supposed to go in there. That's trespassing. And he said, oh, come on. So again, I told myself, oh, be spontaneous. Don't be such a fuddy-duddy. Try to be fun. I was forcing myself, though. I really didn't like it. I'm not the kind of person that, sure, I might break rules, in quotes, but that's breaking the law. As minor as it is, we just went on the porch. It's not like we went inside the house or anything, but it's still breaking the law. And you're on somebody's property, and it's just not right. But anyway, I did it because he's like, oh, come on, stop it, just come on, and so I did, and, and again, in hindsight, it could be that he was testing my limits, Like, I could have just said, no, that's not something I'm going to do, and just kept walking, and if he didn't like it, and yeah, unfortunately, again, we were in his car, so if at some point he got dissatisfied with me and decided to dump me, I don't think he would have done it, really. As much of a jerk he is, I don't think he would have left me abandoned there. even if we would have had a fight. But who knows? Who knows? So, yeah, I did, what he wanted, and then another thing that bothered me, like, I liked him a lot because I thought he was so cute and he was interesting and he speaks intelligently, and another thing that bothered me was, Key West is small, so you can do walking tours, but if you want to see all of Key West, you really got to take that train or something. You got to take a tour, trolley, or go in your car and park at each stop or something. But so I wanted to take the train. There's like I don't know if it's an electrical train or whatever. There's a few of them that go all around Key West, and you hop on and off at each stop. So they hit all the tourist areas, and you can go on and off all day for just the one price. So it was early. I said, why don't we get this train thing? And he'd never been there before, but I had. So I told him, really, what's best is you get on this tour that takes you, and you just hop on and off at the stops. And there are several trains going around, but they're I guess, yeah, they're trained. They're shaped like trains, choo-choo train. But so he's like, it's too expensive. Oh, God. And I was like, well, I'll pay for my own. And he was like reluctant. And he finally just, he paid for his and mine. So okay, he did that. I guess he felt, that is one thing. Sometimes men feel pressured to pay a lot for the woman, or I always offer to I don't date anymore, but I would always offer to pay my part, which in hindsight, maybe that made them respect me less too. I don't know the right thing to give advice to you younger girls, because I really don't know much. But anyway, we had a wonderful day. It was fun. There were some little things that rubbed me the wrong way about him. But, for the most part, I really liked him. And he was cute. And he was hugging me and kissing me the whole day, And we stayed until the sunset. And then we watched the sunset. And, it was just very nice. He was very romantic, kissing and hugging and all that stuff. Not as much groping as he did in the car, but, that should have been the telltale sign. He starts groping you, he barely knew you, but, all right, anyway. So, whatever, but it turned out the day was wonderful. We had a fun time, and I really liked him. And we even, at one point, I remember this moment because it was so romantic, and I wanted to believe it, which it was stupid of me, but but he was about my age. He is my age. He's the same age as me, and he'd never been married before. And back then we were in our 40s, 8 years ago. What am I at? I'm 55. So we were our late 40s. He'd never been married, never had a child. I'd never been married. Oh, yes, I had. I was divorced. But, I'd never been married, that worked out. Or silly me. I'd never been married. How quickly I forget. But, so at one moment we were talking, and we sat down because we were resting at one of the stops, and we were talking, and there was a beautiful home, and I said, oh, wouldn't that be a beautiful home, to live in? And somehow we fell into the conversation of and not getting married to each other, but and have a couple, and maybe at that point I still could have children. It was a little late. I was in my late 40s, but you still can. Two of my friends had children in their late 40s before they could no longer have them. So, I was still able to at that time. And so, a part of me was kind of thinking, if I meet the right man, maybe there's still a hope that I could have a baby. And so, we just started kind of talking about family and marriage and kids in general, not with each other, but he did at one point kind of he'd kind of say something like that, like, hey, maybe that could be us, or something like, and I was just, I melted. I was just like, that would be, in my head, not to him, but inside I was like, that would, maybe this is it. I really wanted to, but anyway. So we got home, we drove back. It was late. And since he lived 2 blocks away, he said, well, do you want to come over? And what did I tell him? Well, it's a little bit intimate, but I happened to be at that time of the month. First of all, I had no intention of doing what he was probably hoping I would do, on the first date. Although I ended up doing it too early anyway, but it wasn't on the first date. But I had mentioned at one point to him, that that was that time of the month. So he already knew. I don't remember why it came up, but he knew that it was that time of the month. So when he invited me over, I said yes, I guess assuming since he already knew what I had told him, because I think he had implied it at one point, and I said I can't, while we were in Key West, he had implied something like that. And I told him, I can't because it's the time of the month and this and that and the other. So I said yes because he'd been so romantic the whole day, kissing and hugging, and when we were watching the sunset, he was, embracing. It was just so romantic. So when he invited me over, I said, well, we like each other. He's just being romantic. He already knows, because I already told him that, I can't do the other thing. So I went in, with him to his little apartment. It was a disaster, not judging because I'm the same way, but his apartment was extremely messy. And at one point, it was time to go. We were both tired, so we laid down, and he started trying the stuff again. I'm not trying to I won't get into too much detail, of course, but just to give you a little background of why it turned out he was such a jerk. But anyway, so I said, well, geez, can you be a little, more, I was kind of telling him, could you back down a little? I mean, I like you and all, but, I think he was trying to go all the way in spite of the situation. So I told him, I'm not going to do that. I don't enjoy that, and I'm not going to do that. So, but let's just, go to sleep and snuggle. That was my intention. I just wanted to snuggle. I really liked him. I wanted to snuggle and just whatever, sleep and wake up and have coffee and the whole thing. He appeared to like me too. So while we were, laying there, and he was kind of snuggling with me, but I could already sense that he wasn't liking it. So, it's so sad how men can fake an entire day acting like they like you when they really don't. But at one point he said, look, I can't do this. Could you just go home? So I only live 2 blocks away. So I walked home. But, imagine if I would have lived far away, he would have made me. So, but he was really rude, and he just basically kicked me out and said, just go home. This is, it's almost like he was making me feel like, hey, I wasted the whole day on you. I paid for he didn't say that, but it's basically what I felt. He was like, what, you thought because you spent the whole day with me, hugging me and kissing me and being romantic, you think now I owe you that? This conversation didn't happen verbally, but that was what I was feeling it was about. So I was extremely hurt, extremely angry. But I left, of course. I'm not going to sit there with some man screaming at me to get out. So I left. I went home. Whatever. And but the thing with Tinder, here's the problem with Tinder. So I said, okay, he's a jerk. It hurt a lot, but okay. Luckily, I found out early on that he's a jerk. So, that's it. I figured I'd never see him again. But the problem with Tinder, I don't know if they still do it, but back then, if you look at someone's profile, they'll get a message that you looked at their profile. So the next day I was feeling really rotten. It was Monday. I wasn't working. Was I working? No, I wasn't working. Sometimes I work, sometimes I don't. I don't believe I was. No, I wasn't working. I remember, because I remember why now. So the next day, whatever, I was really hurt. I woke up really sad. I mean, it was really, I was bitter. But the good thing I was trying to tell myself was, well, good. It was hurt, it was painful, but you had a nice time, and you'll never see him again, even though he lives 2 blocks away. I hope. But I was just like, I thought I'd look at him one more time, just to kind of remember that he was cute, and oh well, it didn't work out or whatever. So I looked at his profile, and I guess, he obviously got the message that I looked at his profile. So he probably figured, oh, she's looking at me, she wants me or whatever, or she likes me. So he wrote, or did he text? Because at that point, did we have each other's numbers? Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I don't remember how he contacted me, but he contacted me. And I know it's because he got encouraged because I looked at his profile. So he must have realized, oh, she's still interested or whatever. Maybe I could schmooze her and love bomb or whatever, because it's called love bombing. It's fake, but they pretend that they're so mesmerized by you, and boyfriends will do it to girlfriends too. It's a form of abuse, because it's not real love bombing. Now real love bombing is when someone really loves you. It's love bombing, but it's real. But a lot of guys do it and it's fake, and this one obviously was fake. So, but anyway, he contacted me. Hey, what's up? And I still liked him. That was my mistake. If someone treats you like that, you should just tell them, look, F off. That's what I should have done, but I didn't. But I thought, oh, I'll give him another chance. Maybe, he's just whatever. I made up some excuse to excuse his behavior. And so we ended up, we got together, and we did end up having our romance, shortly, in the days following. So, and that went on for, we saw each other every day for 2 weeks, So, but I had already told him I had already planned a trip to Argentina. It was already planned even before I met him. I had to go to Argentina. So, at the 2-week mark, I had to go to Argentina. It's not like I stopped seeing him. He already knew I had to go to Argentina. So, and although it was not, he didn't promise me that he was my boyfriend or anything like that, but I guess I kind of assumed, you're calling me every day for 2 weeks. It was summer. He's a teacher, so he wasn't working because it was summertime. So, he had all this free time, and he was about to start. Yeah, and that's why I remember. Yeah, it was August, because when I went to Argentina, school was just starting the same week that I went to Argentina, so he had to go back to work. So it was the perfect timing for if we were going to have our romance or whatever. So I went to Argentina, and he had to go back to work. It was September or whatever. So in Argentina, I wrote to him. We texted him or on the Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and but within a day or two, he mentioned at some point that he was seeing someone else. And I said, what, you're already dating someone else? And I just left. I mean, and I got mad at him, and whatever, I didn't make you any promises, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 and I don't want to ever, just really mean things, like, I'm not interested in you, it's just, whatever, we had a fun time, but that's basically all it was. I mean, it was just, really mean, and I was just, I really liked him at that time. Anyway, so, 2014, yeah. So I was like, all right, F him, it hurt. I was in Argentina for 3 weeks anyway, so it's not like I could have tried to reason with him never saw him again. I was just hurt, and that's it. Oh, wait, no, I did see him again. I'll tell you why. So, but I didn't get back together with him for a while. So then, in 2016, so this is already, from August 2014, and it was February 2016, I was walking along, my friend who passed away, who I got his dogs, before he passed away, I was going to his house because he was doing the Airbnb, but he was in the hospital and he had guests. So I would go to his house to make sure everything was okay, make sure the rooms were clean for the new guests, things like that. So, and I would walk because it was nearby. It's about 8 blocks maybe. So I said, like I said, I always walk. If it's nearby, I walk. So I was walking along on the way, and I was almost at the corner of where I had to turn to go to my friend's house. and I see someone familiar. He looked familiar, and as he got closer, I realized, and I just was staring at him. Is that who, the guy that guy that I did? I didn't even remember his name at that point. And he looked at me, and he's like, "What's she looking at? I wonder." And then, like, we both realized at one point who each other was. And here's the weird thing: the minute he saw me, he came running over, smiling, and hugged me. That was weird. I was like, I hugged him back. I was just like, why is he so happy, running over to me, smiling? We, things ended badly as far as I remembered back in 2014. So, so that day we talked a little. I think we went out to dinner, to a little falafel place, and Oh no, that was another time. No, that was when we were dating. He took me to a falafel place. No, that night I said, hey, he said, or I think he suggested something like, let's go have dinner or something. And then, before even that. So hugged, hi, what's up, what's going on? Oh, I'm going to my friend's house, I explained to him, because he's in the hospital. I have to help him out. He's got some Airbnb, people, and so he came with me to my friend's house with, the door and everything. And we talked, and he told me that he'd met someone, that he was very involved. They were, an item, and he had met her. Like, I did the calculating. He didn't tell me, but I calculated. He'd met her that September. It was one of his students. She was 30 years old. Obviously old for a student, but young for him. 30, 32. Really young. We were in our late 40s, so you can imagine how that made me feel. It's like, oh, great, he dumped me and he went off with this young thing, but okay, whatever. What's done is done. And then he told me, whatever, this, that, and the other, and it hurt, but I said, well, it's years later. What am I expecting him to? But he suggested, let's meet up tonight and have a bite to eat or something. So we did. We had a bite to eat, whatever, hi, well, it was nice seeing you again, bye. And again, never saw him again after that. But then more recently, now we're in 2020. When did we run into each other on Facebook? It was 2020. It was before COVID or just when COVID was starting. I'm not sure how but suggestions pop up, and it's because his number was still in my phone, because it was from all those years. I've had new phones, but somehow the numbers transfer. Oh, I use the SD card, right? And now even they save on Google, I think. So, but I kept using the same SD card from the original phone, so I have all the same phone numbers in there from forever, since I first got my first cell phone. So since his number was in there, and at one point, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to suggest so-and-so is in your contacts. Would you like to be his friend on Facebook or whatever? So we somehow popped up on each other's Facebook. So we became friends on Facebook for a while. But then when COVID started, I went a little cuckoo, like I've explained, and he unfriended me because I started posting political things and conservative, and he's a leftist. So he unfriended me at some point. I don't even know at what point. He must have just done it because one day I realized we were no longer friends on Facebook. So I said, oh, okay. It must have been during the time of the, COVID, and I was posting all those anti-leftist things. And so whatever. I said, okay, fine, whatever. And then, now how did we meet up again now, though? I think, I'm not sure how. How did we meet up again now? Because we were unfriended. I'll admit it. It hurt me when he unfriended me. Because I said, okay, at least we're friends now because he's a nice guy, But here's the thing. I kept giving him a chance to be a nice guy and believing that he was a nice guy because he faked being a nice guy so nicely. So it hurt me when he unfriended me. And then, I know, because I wanted to play words with friends. there's this crossword puzzle game, Words with Friends, and I used to play with him back when we were, for that 2 weeks or whatever we dated, we would play Words with Friends at night. So I'd see him in the day, I'd go home and we'd play Words with Friends, or, and we, did everything that you do when you like someone, so it was a very passionate, short 2-week thing for me. And, so one day I wanted to play Words with Friends, and I started thinking about him, and I said, oh, he unfriended me and whatever. And so I sent him a friend request, and I said, you want to play some Words with Friends? And he accepted, so it wasn't that hard. But so we played Words with Friends, and yeah, by now he had already had a daughter, broken up with the woman that he'd left me for, but he'd had a daughter with her by then. And she's 4 now. So let's see. If she's 4, that means she was born in 2018. And he and I dated in 2014. And then he met the woman that he dumped me for, basically, I guess, in 2014. So yeah, he was with her for 4 or 5 years, I guess. And then they had the daughter in 2018. I guess he was with her for, So now his daughter's 4. No, she actually just turned 5, just in the past month. So we were playing Word with Friends, and then I was coming back. I was coming back to Miami. I was already in Miami by the time we. So anyway, I guess at some point, you can chat when you're playing Words with Friends, and hey, you want to come meet my daughter? You've never seen her. She's really cute. You'll like her. Blah, blah. So I did. I said, okay. And then that brings us up to today and what happened with the car battery. So for a while now, let's see, when's the first time I went and saw him again? Oh, okay. Let me think. Okay. He said, because he's no longer living nearby. He had, at this point, obviously had moved in with the lady, had the baby. Then she moved out somewhere else, and he had to move somewhere else. And so he's no longer living near me, near my parents' house. But he suggested we go have a bite to eat, or... I even don't want to remember because he's such a jerk again. But... We went to a restaurant. Oh, and suddenly at the restaurant he didn't have enough money. What the heck is wrong with me? Falling for every trick in the book. So he paid some, but I had to end up footing most of the bill because we went to a nice... Oh, here's what he did. And I can't believe that I still saw him even after that. He came by, he said, hey, why don't we meet? We'll go find some place to eat in Coral Gables. That's where I live. I said, okay, great. Can't wait to see you. Bye. So he came to my parents' house where I live. And, as soon as he stepped out of the car, he'd gained like 50 pounds. Like I said, he was already chubby back in 2014, but he is obese, and it's all in his stomach. So it's not even like distributed. It's just like really fat, but still cute in the face. Even in spite of how obese he is, I still thought, to myself, he's gained some weight, but he's still cute in the face. And, he's got sort of this look where he looks, he knows the tricks. So he puts kind of like this little sad look, like, he's such an asshole. But anyway, so we were looking for a place to eat, and he said, oh, hey, why don't we eat here? And it was this, was it Thai food? It was a Thai restaurant in Coral Gables, mid price. And I said, that's expensive. Wait a minute, let me see if my dog's okay. I apologize. Oh, she fell down. 1 second. She's in her pen. She fell down. I'm just going to go get her. 1 second. Okay. There you are, my baby girl. Now you be a good girl. Yeah, I'm going to have to edit this for the, you guys will hear the full unedited version, but then I'm going to edit this into because there's all these interruptions. So So we went to that Thai restaurant. I think I said, no. Oh, I think he said your treat because it was his birthday. I think he asked me, sorry, if I would pay because it was his birthday, and it was. That was true. It had been his birthday like a couple days before. So, yeah, stupid me. I said, but that was before I knew what restaurant he wanted to eat at. So I figured we were going to IHOP or Denny's, one of those kind of places. That's where I had suggested. He said, "Oh, let's eat here." And it was a Thai restaurant. It was, not super duper expensive, but it's not Denny's. And I said, "No way. I'm sorry. I mean, I know it's your birthday now and I offered, but I'm not paying for that place. That's too much." And he said, "Okay, let's go half." He said, "You pay yours, I'll pay mine." And then yeah, okay. I said, "Okay, that sounds fine." I said, "Okay, and then we ate, had a wonderful meal. He was very fun, interesting like he is. And at the end of the meal, okay, oops, I only have $20. And he gave me a $20 bill. I was so mad, but stupid me, still saw him again after that. You'd think I would have wised up, but it's all right. I ended up paying the bill. I don't have a job either. It's not like I can afford, but I use my credit card. He has a job, but he doesn't earn much. He's a teacher, and and he's got a 4-year-old daughter, so of course he's got nothing now. He was broke back then because he was a teacher, and I'm not dissing teachers, but teachers don't earn enough. It's high school teachers and stuff. So, but just he's a jerk, so I'll call him a broke just because I'm. But that's fine. He has a low, 50, 60,000, I think teachers make in Florida. At least, or that's probably around his range, which isn't bad. I mean, it's not, it's not poverty level, but you can't be eating out at restaurants every night, So, and plus he has a daughter, which sucks up every penny. If he were single, that's different. But with a daughter, even though he, the mother pays the other half, the daughter lives with the mother, but it's never enough. When you have a child, you never have enough money. Never. There's always something the child needs, or anyway. But I still hadn't met his daughter. That was another thing. I did kind of want to meet his little girl. So he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but that's okay. It was my birthday, whatever." So I paid it, and I even said to him, "Well, I'll just let this one slide because I think you're kind of nice and whatever." But then, okay, so then for a few weekends I was going to his house because I went to no. Okay, did I meet his daughter already? At one point he said her mother won't let her come over unless I clean my house. And it's true. His house, he has no idea how to keep. I mean, I'm a mess too, but at least I know when I want to clean, I know how to clean. But this guy had no idea how to organize, how to clean, nothing, how to keep smells from, filling the house. So apparently at some point the little girl's mother said to him, "Look, I'm not sending our daughter to your house because it's not safe." And it's true. It had, when you don't clean, you get roaches because if it's cluttered, you can't clean. So the roaches. So it's true. It was true, and he had already dealt with the roaches. He'd put some poisons and stuff, but there were still a few running around. So I completely understood, even though I never met the mother of the child or his ex. It kind of made sense to me. Of course, you want your daughter eating food where there are cockroaches and stuff. So, but he was making it out like she is such a bee. She won't let me see my daughter. This, that, and the other. She says if I don't clean the house, and so would you mind help? Oh, because back in 2014, in those 2 weeks that he and I had our thing, I cleaned his apartment for him because it was a mess. It was hoarding, and so so I guess he remembered I was pretty good at that when I set my mind to it. So I felt bad for him, and I said, oh well, and I do believe, I know how important it is for a child of separated parents to have a good relationship with both of them. It's so important to have a father. I mean, as jerky as he is, at least he's there, you know. So, and he loves his daughter and all that. So I kind of said, well, to myself, I said, well, yeah, I'll help him out because it is for a good cause, good cause. Let's say I was thinking of it more like charity. You know, it's important for a little girl to see her father. So, we can't have him not seeing his daughter every weekend. And so I said, okay. And I went up there and I cleaned his place up as best I could. I put away all this junk and it looked really nice. And then he sent pictures. He had to send pictures. I agree with the woman. I don't know who she is. And yeah, because of her, my heart was broken. Not her fault directly, of course. But I completely agree with her. And she made him send her pictures that the house was clean. And so then she let the little girl go. And I 100% agree with her. He said that she's, I didn't believe his side. I believe her side. I can read between the lines in what he was saying, So then the little girl came for the weekend. And I met her, and she's adorable. She's very talkative. She was only 4, but she was going on 5. Now she's 5. And it was just so much fun. And then I would bring little Leona Penelope, and they would play together, and it was just so much fun. I'd spent the whole day, and her father, but okay, see, he did it to manipulate me. She did it because her father told her to do it, but he did it to manipulate me because he knew that I would melt for his adorable little girl. He knew that. He knows me well enough in that respect. So after I cleaned the place, they sent a video. I think I'd met her, but not at his house yet. I'd met her before that, so I already knew her somehow. Oh, we went to the beach one day. Yeah, I didn't go to... So we went to the beach one day, so she'd already met me once. And then I went to his house and cleaned, and then she came the following weekend. So after I cleaned the house, and she arrived, they sent me a video on the phone saying... And he filmed her saying, thank you for cleaning my place, and... this and that, and she was so adorable, of course. I still have the video. She, what a pity, because, I really like the little girl, but unfortunately he's an asshole, so. So yeah, of course I melted, and then I went on the weekend, and I took Leona with her little pen, and she made a fort. Oh, well, I helped her. We made a fort for her, and and the asshole was just sitting there watching football the whole day. And he cooked, super fattening food he cooked, like full of butter and oil and just really fattening. Disgustingly fattening. It made me sick. So greasy. But the point is, I really liked the little girl, so I went, I played, and I figured, okay, that's it. I met the little girl, whatever. He showed no... Well, he kind of made a few passes at me, but I was wise enough. Thank goodness this time I was wise enough. And so I kind of just, oh, come on. I treated him kind of like, what the heck? You think I'm that stupid still? So, but he kept inviting me every weekend to go up there every Sunday. Because Saturdays I'm busy. He actually invited me for Saturdays and Sundays, and like at first I was like, wow, maybe, I don't know why I try to give him a chance that he's a nice guy, because he's not. But anyway, it's getting too long, and I'll get to the part where the battery and everything. So the reason he was inviting me, like a part of me, but I was extra cautious this time. Thank goodness. At least I learned from my mistakes. Finally. I didn't used to learn from my mistakes, but this time I finally did. So I realized what he was doing was, and I'll tell you what really humiliated me, that's coming, but he was inviting me because I would go. First of all, he could just watch football and do whatever he wanted. He didn't have to take care of the little girl, because even though you take care, okay, she's in the house, but he's got to entertain her while she's there. He's got to make sure she, gets the food she wants, or she needs something, he's got to get up and reach it for her and stuff like that. So he loved that I was there playing with her the whole day so he could watch football and have fun. And yeah, he did cook the lunch, but like I said, really fattening stuff. And at one point I was going, and yeah, while I'm there, I tidy up. I mean, because his house is not as messy as it was because I'd already tidied up, but through the week it would get messy again, so I would tidy up again. It's kind of a habit. I'm a little OCD, and don't do it in my own home, though. I do it for other people. But I will. I think tomorrow I'm getting to the point where I have to do it. So at one point, it was like about 5 weekends in a row that I was doing this. And I was enjoying myself, and he wasn't being so much of a jerk. He was just kind of being a jerk in that he would just cook and watch football, and that's basically it. And we would just play, and I had fun. I mean, when I play with little kids, it's like I'm a little kid again, and we build forts, and we pretend that the dog is sick, and she had a little doctor's kit, so we were, she was examining the dog, and I was the nurse, and I was passing her the, it's fun. It's just fun to forget about life and be a kid again. So I really did enjoy that. So, but at one point, there was a broom kind of against a wall at one point, because I did, like I said, every time I went, I would tidy up and stuff. And this is what really, and the little girl, I'm not blaming her at all. It's not her fault. But she saw the broom, she picked it up, she handed it to me, and she said, "Clean the house." I was like, okay, what does she think I am here? Am I a baby? She probably thought I was the nanny, like babysitter nanny. Her father probably didn't even tell her I was a friend, So I didn't say anything. I said, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll do it later, sweetie." She doesn't know any better. Even a nanny, you don't hand her the broom and say, "Clean the house." You say, "Oh, sweetie, whatever her name is, let's say, Michelle." I'm just making something up. "Michelle, would you mind today if you could possibly try to get to the kitchen?" Or, but you don't hand someone a broom and say, "Clean the house." Well, but she's only 4, so I'll let that slip. And plus, what does she know? She can only guide herself by how her father acts. So that's when I started realizing, look, this, as much as I adore this little girl and we're having so much fun, and I guess I was a little part of me, in spite of how obese he is, he's still kind of cute. I guess a little part of me was hoping that he liked me and that he was just taking it slow. But please, I mean, as poor as you might be, you could take me out for an ice cream. So I realized he's not interested in me. He didn't claim to be either. So, but although he did make passes at me, but that's different. And that was early on, and I certainly wasn't going to do it early. So, point is, one day I was over there. The little girl had gone home already. It was a Sunday. The visit was over. He'd taken her home. He came back. I was helping tidy up because she, when she's there, she makes a mess. So while he was taking her home, I would tidy up for him and then go home. But what happened that we got into a fight? He came back. Oh, he wouldn't let me opine on anything. He would not let me have an opinion on anything. Anything that didn't agree, or if I bring up stuff, and I'm not going to go into detail. We got into a fight. And and even before that time, he had yelled at me a few times because I wouldn't be quiet, because I had an opinion that I wanted to express. And he said, "You keep saying that, don't say that." Not when his little girl was there. He didn't scream at me when his little girl was there. I will at least give him that. But when she was gone, when I would try to talk, he didn't like what I said. He would scream at me. So he's obviously mentally ill or something. Even so, I let it pass. I give people a lot of chances to be friends or, more. At that point, I wasn't hoping for more because I was already kind of sick of him. But there was absolutely nothing romantic at all this time around. It was pure, in quotes, friendship, if you will. I think he was trying to make a pass because he figured, hey, if I could also get the other stuff, on top of that, she's cleaning my house and taking care of my kid. He was probably going for the third, what do you call the trifecta? But he didn't get the trifecta. He got the cleaning and the babysitting. And so one day we just got into another spat, and it was one spat too many for me. And especially when I'm there, taking care of his daughter. I'm not saying he owes me anything for it. I did it completely of my own accord. I wanted to go. But, at least, So, and plus he was using me so I would clean his house and take care of it. So I just had enough. I was like, that's it. I said, bye, go to hell. I said a few swear words probably. I don't really remember what I said, but I basically told him you're a piece of this, that, and the other, and just F off, basically. I stormed out. My car, like I said, it had already been giving me trouble, the battery, but it hadn't died yet. It had died once. Yeah, it had died once before. And I restarted it and ran it for a while and thought it was okay, I guess. So, but just that point, where I storm out, door was locked, the door was locked behind me, so I was outside, and get to my car, and it wouldn't. First of all, the electric wouldn't open. You press the button to open the electric doors, it wouldn't open. So I opened it with the key, and it just would not start. It was dead. Completely, not any juice, not even a sound. Like sometimes when there's a little juice, you can hear it, something. There wasn't even that. I mean, it was completely dead. And I was like, I was so mad because I said this was my escape. I was gone. I was home free. And I said, of course, my first thought was, okay, I guess I'll have to call an Uber. I had the dog with me. I wasn't going to take all her, I brought her pen and everything with it. It was in the car already. Because I had put it in the car while we were fighting. That's the weird thing, because the car worked. I opened the car doors with the key when we fought. So I was loading up my car as I was telling him what a piece of crap he was. And so it was all working at that point, because to open the trunk, So the stuff was all in the car, at least. I didn't have to. But so my intention was to call an Uber. But I thought to myself, well, I'm going to take an Uber home. I'll leave the stuff in the car that's not important. I'll get it in a day or two. But I knew he was still awake because I had only just stormed out. And I said, I guess I better text him and at least let him know why the car's still here. I decided to, And so I texted him, and he said, wait a minute, I'm coming out. And he came out and said, oh, your car's dead, are you sure, whatever. And he drove me home. But, I said, you don't have to. I really am not. I didn't text you for you to drive me home. I texted you so you don't wonder why my car's here tomorrow. I could take an Uber, I told him. He said, no, I'll drive you home. And I was like, okay, well, at least, save me the money on the Uber. I wouldn't mind that. So, but he somehow convinced me to take him to IHOP. First of all, it was like 12 at night. Why the hell do you need another dinner, you big old piece of crap? So disgusting. But, I guess that's still a little part of me that still wants to believe that, whatever. But, so I took him to IHOP. It was cheap. That's fine. He didn't have, I don't have any money. Take me, I'm poor. I'm a single father. He's so juvenile. God. So that's that. And then I did the video that you guys watch where I talk about it the next day. And so the next day, after I got that battery thing, actually, I didn't take the Uber to his house. I texted him. Because part of me was like, yeah, I don't want to see him again, ever. I don't want to, But the other part of me was like, well, shoot, I did all that free cleaning for him. I babysat for him. Granted, I did it willingly. Nobody forced me to do it. But the least I could do is save some money on the Uber, and he could at least, just like he drove me, he could drive me back up to his house so I don't have to spend on the Uber. So I texted him. I said, look, can you give me a ride to your house? I don't really think I need to be spending on more Ubers. Because another time I had to take an Uber from his house another time. But not the time we fought. So he agreed because it's on his way home from where he works where his school is. So yeah, I got to his house. It started immediately. I left, and I haven't seen him since. And he has invited me since, but I've declined because I already know what he wants. He wants free babysitter and and a nanny. So only 2 people watching. It's a boring story. See, I'll probably edit this, or maybe I'll just tell it again in a calmer voice. I don't know. But anyway, that's basically the story. So, all right. So, all right, that's it. I guess I've been talking a long time, and oh wait, let me read the chat for goodness sake. You missed some of it. Okay, you could hear the whole thing. Yeah, very pushy. Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right, guys. That's all then for today. I'll try to do a more interesting video at some point. But thanks for listening. And yeah, I could try to think of some Tinder dates that I never told you about. I must have some. But yeah, none of them that really stand out as much as the ones that I did. Like others, I just went on the date. It didn't work, and I left. But it wasn't nothing exciting to talk about. But the ones I've done already that I've talked about are the ones that were more to talk about. Okay, thanks, guys. See you then. Yeah, he's horrible. He is horrible, but. I don't know. I guess I'll always hope. A little part of me will hope. I mean, believe it or not, if he invited me out and actually paid for it, whether it be an ice cream or a soda pop or, I would probably say yes and I would give him another chance. But he's not even doing that. So I wouldn't give him I would give him a chance as far as being friends again. I wouldn't give him a chance the romantic part is completely gone. I think. He would have to do a lot to convince me. Granted, I will admit, he is very obese now. I still find him attractive. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. He's a jerk. He treats me like crap. Maybe I'm a masochist. I don't know. But honestly, if he pulled out all the stops and love bombed me, but love bomb me real, not fake, which he won't do. He wouldn't bother. Not on a 56-year-old when he's had 30-year-olds. But anyway. All right. Sorry, guys. But he is terrible. Realistically, objectively, if I weren't me and I were a friend of mine, I'd say, what the hell are you thinking? He's handsome. He's not handsome. He's obese. He's mean. He treated you like crap. He used you twice. First time for sex and now for cleaning his house and babysitting. He doesn't deserve, and he's not calling me anymore, and I'm not calling him, so probably most likely I'll never see him again. But who knows? If he decides that he wants to make some extraordinary effort, which I doubt he will, maybe I'd give him a chance. But it would take a lot of sweet talking, a long time of whining and dining, even if it's a soda pop today, an ice cream tomorrow, a bubble tea next week. I'm not saying he has to spend money. I say whining and dining. That's whining and dining for me is a bubble tea. But he's not. And a part of me wishes he would, but he won't. So, okay. See you guys. I better stop. It's getting too long. All right. Bye.